So then a few manual bidding strategies. The most popular one, I'd say, or at least the one most people use rather, would be to start mid-range of your suggested bid, or basically start your bid around what you want to pay, and then just increase or decrease as necessary, right? Not getting traffic, increase it. Cost too high, decrease it. Pretty simple, right? That's how most people do it. I don't really recommend that personally. This one is interesting and has its uses, actually. I don't know how many of you guys are in AdLeaks, but there's a post, one of the mods, Gil David, actually did a post, I think it was yesterday, and he called it the inching up method. But it's basically just like starting your manual bid real low and then slowly inching it up until you find basically like the minimum level you get enough traffic that you're happy with.
Is the inch up, I didn't read the thing, but is the inch up daily increments, or are we talking?
So what he recommended, and what I would also recommend, is that basically you only inch your bid up a little bit one day at a time, because the bid levels change, competition level changes daily. So you're trying to find that sweet spot. So you basically just inch it up, and then you see how it did. If you didn't get any traffic today, inch it up again tomorrow. Inch it up again the next day. And you can maybe inch it up a couple times a day too. But so then there's also, you can start your bid really high and then slowly decrease it until your cost is kind of where you want to be. Again, I don't really like that one either. Then what my favorite is the Boolean method. Just start really high and just never change it. It's really easy. Just crank that bid up and leave it alone. This one's cool, actually. So I don't know how long you guys have been advertising on Facebook, but you used to be able to get penny clicks. Okay, penny clicks is like a big thing, and there used to be screenshots in all the groups, like, oh my God, someone's showing how they got like 1,000 clicks for a penny a click, something like that. And this is how you do it. So basically, let's say you have an ad set that has been working really well for you for a while. Okay, you've been getting a great return from it, and then your ads start burning out. So you put some new ads in there. It's doing good again, we're rocking and rolling, and then it starts kind of crapping out again, right? So you put some new ads in there, it's not really coming back. So before you pause an ad set for good, if it has a lot of good history, okay, basically drop the bid super low on that ad set and crank the budget up, okay? What that's going to do is it's looking at all the history you have on that ad set, and you'll get some cheap traffic this way. You're not going to get like boatloads of traffic or anything, but you will get some traffic for very, very cheap. So it's kind of, I call it like the squeeze. It's a way to like just squeeze a little extra juice out of your ad set before you get rid of it for good. That's all. And then the sneak attack method. All right. You guys ready for the sneak attack?
Yes!
Yeah! So this, I found that you can typically add 30% ROI to whatever you're doing. Doesn't matter if it's e-com, lead gen, app installs, lead ads, whatever you're running, it works on everything. So as many of you guys might know, most of my strategies are for high budget only, okay? But that's obviously not something everyone can use, so I wanted to come out with a method that you could use no matter what, basically. So this method you can work for low budgets, high budgets, and everything in between. Developed about a year and a half ago in the agency-wide office. What's cool though is it allows you to spend $1,000 a day while lowering your acquisition cost, okay? So you can spend 10K a day with this method by itself, which is cool. Or you can spend 10 bucks a day, whatever you want really. So here's just a few testimonials, if you will, for the sneak attack method from the AdLeaks group. So for those who ran app installs, I think I hit the jackpot with the sneak attack method. Our average cost per install has gone from $2.50 to $1.48 over 2 days, and being pretty high for a steady 10 to 12 days. Being such a cheap app, we want installs under $2. So I started with 4 solid ads per ad set, about 10 ad sets. Started the bid at $125 and increased it by 10 cents every few hours. After 3 days, they're spending $10 to $15. Long story short, the sneak attack method is definitely interesting, and it's been one of my faves so far. Another guy, sneak attack scaling. Sneak attack method is bomb. I've tested it over the last couple of days on a client's account, and we're seeing a 7 ROAS on cold audiences, whereas before he was at like a 2. So big difference. Another one, if you're not testing the sneak attack method, you're missing out. Get his head up today. I think it was the same thing. He basically doubled his ROAS. Another one, sneak attack campaign. So far, we're sitting at 4 times ROAS, which is amazing compared to what they were at before. They have a higher an AOV of 100 plus, so it's a big win for us. Another one just started the sneak attack method at 22 ROAS with a $60 AOV, and that's 100 on 100 conversions. It's not like 3 sales. All automated with RevealBot. Boom. So it works for a large variety of things, okay? You can use it for pretty much anything, and you can use it for any of the phases also, testing, optimizing, or scaling, okay? I do want to say, I have to give this disclaimer that this is a very advanced method, and if you don't do it right, you can lose a lot of money. So if you're not really familiar with manual bidding, or you haven't done a lot of it, or you're maybe brand new to Facebook ads, I do not recommend you do this. Seriously, for real, don't do it. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do it in 10 easy steps. All right, so step 1 is just create a new campaign, okay, and set it to optimize for conversions, right? And then you can optionally enable campaign budget optimization if you want. That's totally up to you. I would personally recommend not doing it with CBO to start. Okay, and then you're going to set it to so then you create at least 5 ad sets, okay? And I would recommend more, like 10 to 20 would be what I'd recommend, but you need at least 5. And then they should be basically like all different targetings, okay? Some are going to be interests, some layered interests, some lookalikes, some are going to be broad with no targeting, and so on. Basically just like throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks, is what it comes down to. Okay, so then on each ad set, you're going to set you need to set the bid to be manual, okay? You're going to be doing a manual bid on lowest cost with bid cap, okay? That's the setting you want. And you want to set your bid cap, set your bid to approximately 50% of whatever your sales actually cost, okay? So if your cost per sale historically is you're usually paying $40 a sale, then set your bid at $20 to start, just to be safe, okay? And this is what it's going to look like, right? So you'll do conversions. I'd recommend you do on this 7 days click or 1 day view, set a bid cap of $20, okay? And this is very important, accelerated delivery. I generally, on everything else, recommend you don't do accelerated delivery, but for this method, it requires it, and it kicks ass. Give you a second to take pictures. There we go. So make sure you set it to accelerated. It's like putting your foot down on the gas pedal. And then this is important. You want to make sure you put 4 or so creatives in each ad set. You don't want to have, in this case, 8 to 10 or more. It's too many. So put 4 or so, and you want to have like all different ones, okay? Maybe like 1 or 2 video ads, like a link ad, and maybe a carousel ad. Or 1 video, an image ad, a carousel, and like a collection ad or something. Just kind of like do like 1 of each, basically. Or whatever your top 4 ad types typically are, or whatever your favorite 4 are, basically. Okay? And it's for the same reason. This is just a different color, same graph, but you need to have all the different all the different ad types so that you can hit people in the auction no matter what type of creative Facebook wants to show them, okay? Yeah, I just did that. So step 6, set the budgets, okay? Your budget's going to be between $500 and $5,000 per ad set, okay? You're not actually going to spend that amount, and you can obviously do lower or higher if you want. You're going to be aiming to spend about 10 to 20% of the budget per ad set daily. So on a $500 budget, like if you want to spend $50 a day, then set your budget to $500, like 10 times higher, okay? If you're on CBO, then just say your overall budget 5 to 10 times higher than what you actually want to spend. But again, I'd recommend you do ad sets for this. And then you just launch it. It's simple enough. Time to sneak attack, right? So like, wait, now what do you do now, right? So here's what you do. So you watch closely and slowly raise your bid, okay? But basically wait a few hours, and if you're getting no traffic, increase that bid just a little bit, okay? So let's say in our example, we're starting at a $20 bid, if you recall. Maybe we raise it up to $22 now, okay? So now you're going to wait a few more hours minimum, and if you're not in a rush, I'd recommend you wait a full day, okay? And then slowly increase your bid little by little until you start getting a little bit of traffic. If you're still not getting anything, raise the bid another couple bucks. His head's blocking it, but it should say $24. So basically raise it at 10% more if you're getting no traffic. Okay? Now, again, wait a bit longer, okay? By now, you should have a little trickle of traffic coming in. Maybe you're just getting some impressions, but not a click yet. That's a good thing. You're on the right track. Raise the bid up another $1 or maybe $2 at this point, and then wait and see what happens, okay? Basically your goal, and you just keep doing this until you see some impressions, and then watch it very carefully. And your goal is to be like right on the edge here, where you're getting just the right amount of traffic, not too little, not too much, like the Goldilocks amount, if you will, right? Okay, and you need to be very careful with this, because if you raise that bid too high, let's say you're like, you're all gung-ho about it, and you're like, oh, I didn't get any traffic for the last hour, let's like up the bid $10, fuck it, you know? You could blow through thousands of dollars in like literally a half hour, so just be careful, don't do that. And as a wise man once said, always use protection. So you need to have automated rules with this. If you aren't using automated rules, then don't set this up. You need to set up at least the golden rules, as I call them. And you have two options. You can either set them up with Facebook's, the rules right in Facebook, okay? Those rules run every 30 minutes. If you're spending a good amount of money though, 30 minutes is not often enough, then you should use RevealBot, because it runs every 15 minutes. Okay, so let's just assume that you're doing e-commerce and you have a cost per purchase of around $20, okay? And let's say your target ROAS is 3. 3 is like you're making some money at that point. That's where you want to be. Okay, so here's what the first rule would look like in Ads Manager. Basically, turn off the ad set if the purchases is less than 1 and I've spent more than $60. So basically, I have no purchases, I spend $60, cut the ad set, okay? Okay, this is what a stop loss rule looks like in RevealBot, okay? And what I do personally is at the ad, you need it to make one rule for the ad level and for the ad set level, okay? So on the ad level, what I'm doing is I'm pausing it if I've spent 2 times my cost per sale and I have no purchases. And then on the ad set level, I'm spending 4 times the CPA without any purchases before I pause it, just to give it a fair chance, okay? So basically, if I have 2 ads in that ad set that both spend $40 in this case and have no conversions, then those ads will get paused and the ad set will get paused, basically. Okay? Then a trim the fat rule. And so while the other one is, the stop loss is like how much money are you willing to lose with no conversions before you pause it. That's what the stop loss is. This next one is trim the fat. This one is if you do have purchases, you do have some sales or leads, but it's at a higher cost than you want, you just trim the fat and you cut that. So this one, the purchases has to be greater than 0, and if the cost per purchase is greater than $40, then cut it. So if it's unprofitable, cut it. Pretty simple. And this is what it would look like in RevealBot. If the spend today is greater than or equal to $40 and the ROAS today is less than 3, cut it. And just if you're doing lead gen or whatever, just replace ROAS with whatever your target is. That might be a lead or an app install. Whatever your profitability metric is, just change the second line to that. Okay, next is a safety net, and this is important because the way that Facebook updates its data is it updates the spend first, okay? Then about 10 or so minutes later, then it updates the conversions. So if your rules are running every 15 minutes, the spend might get updated, and then your rule might cut an ad or an ad set thinking it's not profitable, but then 5 minutes later, boom, the conversions show up, and now that ad actually was profitable, but you just paused it, right? So the safety net just unpauses it. Very simple.
What about, like, Pash was talking about yesterday that he was doing that and then he figured out that it resets the learning. Have you found that has any effect?
Personally, I don't really mind if the learning gets reset. Okay. In fact, sometimes it's a good thing. If you don't have like a ton of history on that ad set, as Dipesh also said, which is accurate, it's not resetting all the data on the ad set. It's just putting it back into the learning phase so it can learn more. Yeah. It's sort of like if you like just go to high school and then you're like working for a little while and then you go back to school. You know, it's not like you started fresh knowing nothing. You're just going to go learn more stuff. Yeah. Right? So to me, the learning phase, personally, I don't find any more consistency when the learning phase is done. To me, it's just as volatile, and generally, it does better in the learning phase, honestly, is what I found. So I actually kind of like being in the learning phase. But That's just me. So this is a very simple rule. It's just you need one on the ad level and the ad set level, just to turn it back on, start the ad, if the ROAS is greater than 3, or if the cost per purchase is less than 20, or if the cost per lead is less than whatever. Whatever your profitability metric is, just drop that in there. Okay, and then as I mentioned, I then turn everything back on and I do it all again the next day. So then I call it the restart everything rule. And you can do this a number of different ways. The way that I usually do it is just to say, start it if the spend is greater than $1 yesterday, okay, and the time now is between 12 and 1 a.m. So basically, if it's between 12 and 1 a.m. And it had a little bit of spend yesterday, turn it back on today. Nice and simple. And if you wanted to turn your ad sets on a little bit later in the day, you could just have it go, make it between 3 and 4 a.m. or between 4 and 5 a.m. And then it would do that, just start your ad a little bit later if you want. So then step 10 is just optimize and profit. Do what you would normally do. And after a few days of data, you're going to pause your bad ads first. I see a lot of people go in and pause their ad sets first, which is stupid though, right? How many times do you log in and you see on a campaign level that maybe you're around break even, but you're not sweating it because you know you have some good ad sets and some bad ad sets in there, and you just have to go turn off the bad ones, right? But what most people don't do is they don't go and pause the bad ads. They don't go that level deeper, okay? If you just pause a couple of bad ads, boom, now that ad set's profitable and you don't have to pause it, okay? So just go pause the bad ads first, right? So after you have about 2 to 3 days of data, then I go in and I pause the bad ads, okay, first. I do not pause any ad sets typically, okay? I go in there and usually there's 1 or 2 ads that sucked all the spend and had a shitty cost per conversion. And usually there's at least 1 or 2 good ads in that ad set that got a little bit of traffic and a 1 sale or 2. It just wasn't getting much traffic from Facebook. So I just go in there and pause the bad ads and then let it run for another few days, okay? Then after that, I start pausing ad sets. So if, basically if I'm 6 days in now, 3 days, pause bad ads, another 3 days, now you can start pausing bad ad sets. All right, and if you do this properly, you should see your cost per acquisition lower by about 30%. So basically what the sneak attack is doing is it's looking for, as soon as there's a little bit of drop in the auction, or someone else pauses, or there's a surge of people that just came online, or a number of reasons, basically inventory just opens up temporarily. It slams your budget in, accelerated, at a cheap price to pick up that cheap traffic while it's available, okay? So you're gonna have bursts of spend, it might spend $100 from, at midnight, then $1,000 at noon, and then nothing for 4 hours, and then another $1,000, across a lot of ad sets, right? But you're just basically getting that extra inventory that's down there. So if you need consistent volume every day, this method is not going to be good for you. But if you don't mind spending $500 today and $3,000 tomorrow, and then $1,000 and then $5,000, and you're kind of all over the place, but you have a good cost per sale, then this is a great method for you.
Is it a consistent long-term strategy, or is it sort of like a...
It's a long-term strategy. It's just not, you just have to keep messing with your bid, basically. Because the way that an auction works, there's always going to be kind of I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but just cheap traffic in an auction for whatever reason, right? There's just some people that aren't bidding on an auction, right? Or there's a lot of reasons, but yeah, it's been working now for 2 years, and as long as Facebook keeps their auction an auction, then it should work forever, pretty much. The specifics might change a little bit, of course, but the theory behind it is the same.
Do you think accelerated is countering kind of what you talked about earlier, in bidding super high to get the best customers versus being slightly under and then getting tier 2 or 3 customers?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, you are underbidding, right? So you're getting a little blips in the auction. Do you think that accelerated is what is helping you?
It's just accelerated is because if there's only 30 minutes basically of inventory available for very cheap, I want to max my budget and spend as much as I can in that 30 minutes to get that cheap traffic. And yeah, the quality of customers probably get a little bit lower for sure. But because you're getting it so much cheaper, it counters it out. Yeah, so this isn't my go-to method. I don't start an ad account this way. I started with the 3-8-8 method. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, there's a video on that in AdLeaks. But that's what I use as my testing framework. And then basically from there, I go to the cloud method, which is also, I believe, in AdLeaks. And if that doesn't work, then I try this. This is like my backup method, basically.
I have a question for mostly the Boldy method. Do you choose like bid cap, target cost?
So usually I just do bid cap. Target cost is if you want more volume and you don't care as much about the price, then target cost is good. But I care about the price a lot, so I'll just do lowest bid with a bid cap.
For Boldy? For the Boldy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically if you're doing it with Bully, then you just need to bid 4 or 5x your CPA. If you do target cost, then you can bid 2 or 3x, basically.
Okay. For bid cap, you should go more 3 or 4 higher.
Well, they're both with a bid cap. It's just one of them is target cost and one's lowest cost. Target cost like says, okay, if you can get a bunch of conversions for more expensive, that's cool, as long as we get a bunch of conversions for under the amount, and it kind of averages out. But lowest cost is like more of like supposed to be like a harder stop limit. So then you just have to bid higher because it doesn't give you as much like overage, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sneak attack, you would do the same? Bid cap?
Yeah, lowest cost with bid cap.
Lowest cost?
Yep.
Have you been able to play with cap costs?
Or cost cap? Not much, actually, no. I haven't played with it that much, to be honest, no. I have heard, like, I was talking to Maxwell, and he said it's doing really well for some of his clients. It's done decent for some of our clients at the agency, and then for others, it hasn't. So it's kind of been like CBO, honestly, where it's hit and miss.
At the agency, when it has worked, it's kind of scary, the wording that they use now, because the big cap, they now put the words that I kind of always expected that this is not what you're willing to pay, it's what you're putting in the auction.
Right.
The cap cost says,
That's what you're willing to pay. Yeah. That's why I've been scared to use it. That's why I haven't used it much in my personal stuff. But so I just stick with bid cap. But so if you do cost cap, you just have to put it lower. Just bid lower. Just like I would just try putting in. I've never tried Bully on cost cap. It probably would work, but to start, I would just put in whatever your actual CPA is, give or take. Maybe add 5% to that. Questions? No? You guys are ready to sneak attack? You guys are good to go?
Except for ice cream.
Quick question in regards to link clicks to landing page. And this goes to anyone that might know. With GDPR and like EU and anytime somebody doesn't accept that,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get a landing page view because you can't load the damn Facebook.
Correct, yeah.
Does anyone have any percentage of, like normally there's some acceptable percentage of link click to landing page, but
Yeah.
EU, like as soon as GDPR went into play, that just, obviously went way up. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're off your site, it's just you can't count them anymore.
I don't know this for a fact, but I would assume that Facebook is still doing some tracking there because on mobile, which is the bulk of traffic, most people are in the Facebook browser, so Facebook can still see it without a pixel. I don't know if because of privacy reasons, maybe they aren't like looking at that data, but they haven't been that good with privacy, so they probably are looking at that data. I don't know.
For the ad set conversion, is it purchase, cart?
Whatever kind of works best for you typically. Typically I would recommend you do purchases if you actually want to purchase. But actually that brings me to my next point, pixel hacking. I forgot I had this on here.
I'm just asking,
Do we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break, yeah.